So we can't manage the unknown. We don't know what we don't have. So we need to have visibility into our data to understand what equipment we will have, and we need to have spares for in a failure, what is in our facility. We might know that we have mainly Rockwell, Allen Bradley, or even that we have mainly SLC and Compact Logix controllers with PowerFlex drives, which are all Rockwell products. But until we understand exactly what we have, we don't know that we're fully covered. Understanding what's, quote, under the hood in every single cabinet gives us a full list of our assets. This gives us, it's a building block. It's used in operations for facility upgrades, documenting risks, and even priorities. So we can do something here called an installed base evaluation, where we actually go through the cabinets and we cover Rockwell and non-Rockwell products to give a full list. So I've shown here an example. This is just a typical cabinet. PLC 5 processor with some I/O modules. It's still functioning, it's still operating, but until we put visibility, we don't know exactly what those are. So what an install-based evaluation does is it takes this generic cabinet, this bunch of assets, into a documented list. So what we can see here now is this is actually a full list of the part numbers that are inside this cabinet. So instead of knowing, oh, we have a cabinet that has a PLC 5 in it, we know specifically we have a 1771 OAD and a 1771 OBD. We know exactly what modules we have within that cabinet. From there, we can start to prioritize and plan. For example, we can look at where these products are within the life cycle. So Rockwell breaks its life cycle into 4 categories. Active. Active are the most current products within a category. These are the latest and greatest. Active mature. These are still manufactured new, still fully supported, can definitely still buy them. This just means that there's a newer offering in the category. When given the choice between the two, the active is going to potentially have slightly newer features, maybe some better features, and even potentially a lower cost. End of life means that the product has had a discontinuation date announced. So we've announced that we're going to discontinue this product, but it's still available. So this is a really critical time where it's a window to make a decision. Are we going to begin a migration away from this product, or do we need to make sure we have spares of this product because it will no longer be available? So a discontinuation or an end of life period is typically an 18-month to 2-year process where it's been announced that it will be discontinued, and it gives us that 18-month to 2-year window to address the potential problems. A discontinued part is one that is no longer manufactured. So once we reach that discontinuation date, we reach discontinued status. These are no longer manufactured. Fortunately, they are still repaired and supported by Rockwell. So we do keep a window where we have discontinued parts that are supported. We can still get them repaired, but the more discontinued parts, the more risk we have for having difficulty procuring the parts that we need for the plant. So if we go back to our install base evaluation here, we can see not only is it going to give us a list of the part numbers, it's also telling us each part number's life cycle status. So from here, we can prioritize, okay, we've got some active mature parts. We can still buy these. We do have an end of life module here. So we need to start making decisions about what's going to happen with this system. And then we can also see we have a discontinued drive and a discontinued processor. So we can no longer buy these new. Do we have a spare? This is something we know we have a spare of. What's our repair process like if there is a failure? And then moving on from an individual cabinet, we can actually start looking at the whole plant. So not just this one PLC 5 cabinet shown in the bottom left, we might have some newer cabinets as well. But if we take all of this and we put it into a single report, so instead of it just being by cabinet, we can actually look at all of it together. So all of our parts, we can actually look at together and understand, okay, so I have 3 1769 SDN. These are device net scanning modules for a Compact Logix system. I have 3 of those in my plant. Or I've got 38 1771 A4B. These are chassis for PLC 5s. I have 38 of these and they're discontinued. So putting these into a list just makes that data very visible to us for what we have throughout the facility. There are some summaries included. We can see the total value of the products. Depending on the audience we're talking to, this is just the context. Do we have a little bit of automation? Do we have a lot of automation? What percentage of our total assets do our automation components represent? And then what value do we have out in the plant? And what value do we have actually sitting in the storeroom? So you can see in this case that 11% of the value of the assets is actually sitting within the storeroom. We can also see holistically, what is the maturity of our products in general? Is this plant at a lot of risk? Is this plant at a minor risk? And this can go either way. It might be better than we expect. It might be worse than we expect as far as what level of maturity we're on. But what it does is it puts it into a document. This is a third-party document verifying your current status. When we're talking about budgeting discussions and priority discussions, having a documented case is going to be the strongest thing we can use. Also by line. So instead of looking at the whole plant, when we break it down by line or by area, this is a huge priority piece. We can see here that the dry mix packaging is mainly active products. This is probably a newer line. Most of what we have is active. The flex line packaging, though, half of it is already discontinued. So this is going to help us pick, well, maybe one is more critical than the other, so that's what we focus on, or one has mainly active parts, so we don't need to prioritize it. We can break it down by area as well as part of this report. So this is the common way we've had the report, but I want to cover a new addition to the reporting process. This is called My Equipment from Rockwell. This is a relatively new release, and this is included within the installed base evaluations. It's also something you can access in general without the installed base evaluation. You just won't have some of the features we're going to cover today. What you'll see on the page now is myrockwellautomation.com. This can be reached by rockwellautomation.com/my. And you can search for parts here and find more information. Where we are is under Managed, My Equipment. So this is going to show us our installed base evaluation, which I've shown here. And this takes the same data we looked at, but puts it in a web format. Why this is really powerful is if we had multiple facilities within our enterprise, or even multiple people that we wanted to share this, we can actually share this web page across the company or to other people within the company a little easier than we could by sending files back and forth. So we can see here the same kind of products where we have the active, mature, end of life, discontinued, where we are in the life cycle. We can see the risk, discontinued parts. We can break it down by areas. This is actually pretty powerful. We can see discontinued parts with no spares. So these are discontinued parts. We can't buy them new anymore, and we don't have any spares. And then showing specific part numbers. We could break down, we could look at a different facility, and we can do a deep dive on the life cycle. So 55% in this example are discontinued products. Like I said, My Equipment is currently included with installed base evaluations.